This video is going to be taking a look at the Thor figures that I have with a tangential character placed in there as well. And you'll see who that is when I get to him. But for right now, we're going to start off with the first Thor Marvel Legends figure. And from Series 3. There he is. Now sculpt, he's got some great details on him, especially in the legs here. The way the straps on his boots were done. He's got some nice, very veiny muscles on his arms and his legs. The cape here, it's pretty heavy. So his chest armor here is a whole separate piece that is put on over the body, and it cannot be removed, but it still allows for the waist articulation, only a little bit, as you can see. His face sculpt is not as good as I would have hoped. In fact, I can say he's pretty ugly. The paint job is pretty good, especially for an early figure. Again, mentioning the details on his boots, I like the way they were painted. Everything else is just pretty much adequate. So for articulation, his head moves left and right, but because of his hair sculpt there, it doesn't do much of anything else. His arms do not go all the way around because of the cape and the armor piece here. They do go out and rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbows, single joint only, and he rotates at the wrists, and his fingers are there. As I said before, he's got waist articulation, but very little of it. His hips here, legs at the hips, have nice movement out and forward and back, except they're too loose for the figure. So yeah, that also adds to his main trouble in that he tends to fall over a lot with the heavy cape. He does rotate at the thigh here, as well as having a double jointed knee, and he's got nice ankle articulation forward and back, as well as side to side. Got that foot pivot, and he's got a toe joint as well. Of course, he comes with his hammer. A little bit too silvery for me in this, and too beat up. Now it's got all these holes and divots in it. I really don't like that. And with the silvery paint, it looks too metally. Now, his hammer is a metal, but if you know, it's made out of uru, which is a stone-like metal. Uru will look like it's stone, but it's actually a metal. And I don't think that's something that they quite got with the hammer. Also, he has quite a hard time actually holding the hammer as well, because the joint here just is too loose, I think, for the weight of the hammer. Now, he does come, like the early Marvel Legends, he comes with a diorama stand, and it's pretty cool. It's got all these skeletons, looks like Army of the Dead skeletons. You got a giant skeleton, look, probably a frost giant that Thor has slain. You've got a bunch of weapons on the ground here, a hammer, yeah, a sword. Looks like there's an axe over here. Here you got another skeleton with a helmet on, and nice design work on these helmets too. And the Nordic / Celtic look to the design here, and really cool base. Now the second Thor we're going to take a look at is from the Giant Man Build-A-Figure series that was a Walmart exclusive. And I think this is the best all-around Thor out of all of them. Most like the classic, as the better face sculpt, little bit better paint job. He is a little bit smaller in terms of muscles and everything, as you can probably tell. Neither of these guys can stand pretty well because of their capes are too heavy and their joints too weak to support them. So you can see I use a stand for this guy, and you can see how loose he is just by me nudging him a little bit. His chest armor this time is, again, the upper part is a separate piece put on top of the figure's body, but it ends here to give some ab articulation to the figure. And you see it's very clicky, so I don't often use that. You might notice that the wings here are all white as opposed to the sort of gray metal bit at the top, something much more in line with the way the character is supposed to be. I think he's got a better face sculpt. Might have gone a little bit lighter color for the hair. He comes with a piece of Giant Man, and again a hammer, this time with an inscription on it, and this time much more stone-like. He also has the same sort of articulation, although his arms do go all the way around, as well as the standard articulation out, bicep, bend at the elbow, rotate, and his wrists bend, but there's no finger articulation on this hand so that he can grip the hammer better. However, this hand does still have the fingers jointed. And again, his waist very loose from the waist down. His legs do go out and forward and back, and well swivel at the thigh. They also have double knee joints, and swivel at the lower leg here, as well as go up and down at the ankle, as he's also got the ankle pivot and the toe joint. Like I said, his limbs on the bottom are too loose to support him, so you have to balance him out with the cape, and get him in sort of weird positions using the cape to balance him if you're not using a stand like this. moving on, we come to the series 15, Beta Ray Bill. Now, Beta Ray Bill was an alien who picked up Thor's hammer in the midst of battle, and of course, if you know the enchantment of the hammer, only those worthy to possess the power of Thor will be able to pick up the hammer off the ground, and that's what this guy did. And there was a whole big storyline where he and Thor fought for the hammer, and Thor eventually won it back, but Odin was so impressed by Beta Ray Bill that he commissioned a similar hammer, this one here, called Stormbreaker, and it has all the powers that the original hammer, Mjolnir, had. And so it was given to him by Odin, and he uses it to basically do the same stuff that Thor does, fight injustice and stuff around the cosmos. If you read the Thanos Imperative, he's in there, and he will be in the forthcoming Annihilators series. So, big step up for Beta Ray Bill, I guess. He's okay. You can see the cape here is a little bit different. It's out further from the body, and it's got a hole in there. And the reason it's got a hole in there is to accommodate one of these stands, which you can feed through there and plug into his back there, so you can pose him on one of these stands in a flying stance. Now, I really like the design of this guy. You can see he's influenced by both the early Kirby Thor, and the Simonson drawings of Beta Ray Bill, who created the character. And so it's a great interpretation of those drawings in a figure form. For articulation, he's very stiff up here, but his arms do go pretty much all the way around, and he does have the extra shoulder joint there to help him with articulation back there. It's got the swivel, single joint at the elbow, wrists rotate and bend a little bit. Very stiff though. It's like the previous Thor, his one hand is molded in an gripping stance, and his other has the fingers on a joint, so he can hold the hammer. He's got ab articulation, waist articulation, the pretty stiff waist articulation. I can't really move it forward and back, but they do go out. They do swivel at the thigh, bend the double knee joints, and they rotate down here at the lower leg. They bend at the ankle, as well as he's got the ankle pivot there and the toe joint. There's a little bit of up and down, but you do get the extra jaw joint there, but you do still get a little bit of head up and down movement. So getting back to Thor proper, the last Marvel Legend that I have is the Lord of Asgard Thor. Now I do like this figure's face sculpt, and he's the only Thor we've gotten so far with a beard. Design here, the chainmail. The paint, though, on this is really lacking. I think he's a bit too pale on his arms. The rest is okay. I mean, you get a nice gold here, but it doesn't really match with his boots. I don't, this and this match, but the boots don't match. I'm not really a fan of his articulation either. I should mention the cape here, also more sort of a realistic feel to it with the fur lining on the top here. And you can remove the cape here. It just plugs into the shoulders there. You get more head articulation that way. But his arms, again, are kind of blocked by the shoulder pads here. So that's as far as they go. They do go out. This being a Hasbro figure, he's got the Hasbro joint here that bends at the elbow and rotates at the elbow. And he's got ball jointed wrists, but they're quite stiff to move in and out. But they do rotate. Ab articulation, waist articulation. He's got the wonky later leg joints on for Legends. So the one that you have to move and angle to get into position. He's a little bit better than some of the later Legends figures, but I still don't like that. I much prefer the older type. He still has double knee joints, and his feet there are on a ball joint, so they swivel and bend. He comes with two weapons. Of course, he's got Mjolnir, his hammer, looking more stone-like, but again, a little bit too beat up for me with all those cracks and stuff in it. It's nice detailing work, but I just don't think it fits with what I think Mjolnir should look like. And he's got this axe. So there we are, my version of the Thor core, if you will. Granted, there are 3 of the same Thor and Beta Ray Bill, but we haven't gotten a Thunderstrike Thor or a Eric Masterson Thor, which would have been nice figures to get in the Marvel Legends line. And so stay tuned until my next review, which will probably be something similar, where I take a look at a bunch of figures that are all the same character. And until then, see ya.